What's up, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. Today I'm going to be doing a video for you guys, a real talk on a couple of modern things that I wanted to just update you guys on and like talk about a couple of like realizations that I had. I had a really good conversation with my good friend Justin in the car, and when we were on our way to our local game store yesterday, and I was all like, I want to like talk to people about like some modern things. And you know, the format's really weird right now. Everyone kind of knows this. We have the whole Eldrazi menace. If you're getting into modern now, I'm so sorry. I really hope like people just wait until like April when things are banned, which by the way, like, yes, things are going to be banned from Eldrazi. It's like been announced, like I don't even remember where, but like someone told me that it was like officially like it's something is getting banned with it. So like if you're all like, hey, I hate Eldrazi, don't worry, they're gonna get banned in modern. So I want to, so my main modern deck that I have is Grixis Control, right? And I'm actually kind of thinking about switching over to blue-white, but I want to wait until the meta shifts, because right now it's really good. Blue-white is really insane in the meta right now. It's crazy. You run 5 board wipes, you run 4 Supreme Verdicts and a Wrath of God, and you run 4 Snapcaster Mages, so theoretically you just run like 9 board wipes, because you can always like Snapcaster like flashback, which is so sweet. So basically like the deck is so amazing because it just deals with like aggro is just like really great right now, and I'm all just like board wipe. I played modern last night with the blue-white list and I went 3-1. I'm so upset. I lost to Scapeshift. I'm so mad. I'm supposed to have like a really good Scapeshift matchup because I'm all like Runed Halo naming Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, and then I'm all like another Runed Halo named Valakut the Runed Halo, and you know, it's kind of like, you know, sometimes you're just playing and your opponent just has everything and you just have nothing, and so that was basically what happened. The deck is really sweet. It like, the thing about it though is it doesn't, and I've said this to John, my boyfriend who brewed the deck, I was like, it has like, it doesn't have enough punch because like you run 3 Celestial Colonnade, 2 Elspeth Sun's Champion, and like what else does it kill people with? I mean, it could kill people with Snapcaster Mage, that's possible, but I was brewing my own list and I'm kind of thinking about it because I really like Wall of Omens and I also really like Wall of Denial, but I'm thinking about changing the deck up a little bit, running like Restoration Angels, because like Restoration Angel plus Snapcaster Mage is just super sweet. You're like, yes, I would very much like another Snapcaster Mage trigger. It just like makes for like more board wipes and it just seems really sweet. So yeah, so like yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to do. I want to wait, like I said, until after the meta shifts because I don't know what's going to happen with the Eldrazi thing. But anyway, so I was in the car with my good friend Justin and we were like talking about like how modern is right now and what's going on with it. And we were actually talking about Affinity because Justin has 2 modern decks. He has Affinity and he has Grixis Delver. And I was like, you know what? I was like, something that I really feel like the problem with Affinity is because like, I really love Affinity. I've always really loved the deck. I think it's really sweet, and for a while I was actually thinking about putting it together. But the problem that I have with it, and the problem he's like, well, everyone has like hate for it. And I said, yeah, that's definitely like a thing, and you're right about that. You know, there's a lot of artifact hate for the deck. But the thing I think that really gets me with the deck is the fact that the deck has such an awful late game. It's so bad. Like if you just blow up all of their stuff and they just don't have anything and they top deck like Memnite like late game, that's just awful. And what I've kind of been like realizing is I think just how good like mid-range decks are. Mid-range decks I think are just amazing. Like I really like mid-range decks because you're playing like Jund and you're like Tarmogoyf late, sweet. Scavenging Ooze late, awesome. Like Liliana the Veil, sure, why not? Siege Rhino, great. No, they don't run Siege Rhino, sorry. I was just about to say Lingering Souls too, I'm thinking of Junk. So I feel like, and that's like another thing too why I think control decks are also like really sweet, is like Grixis Control isn't really good in the meta right now, but like blue-white control's like really good because you're all just like Celestial Colonnade and you like board wipes and you just don't even care. Like they do stuff and you just play Path Exile and they play a bunch of things and you just answer everything. It's not a counter deck. It doesn't run counter spells. It runs a couple of counter spells on the sideboard, like negates and dispels, but you're all just like, whatever. I'm actually thinking of changing the dispels over to Swan Songs. Do you want to know why? Because you counter an instant, a sorcery, or an enchantment. They get a 2/2. You don't care about the 2/2. Why? Because you wall it out to block it, or you just board up and you just don't even care. Oh, so good. So good. So, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm thinking of switching over to that, but yeah, like I think mid-range decks, like I think that a lot of people get really lost in the hype of decks that can win on turn 4 and on turn 2. Like people are like, oh my gosh, Infect, like da 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 da, that's so good. And then they're like, oh yeah, Bloom Titan, kill people on turn 2, that's so good. Twin, kill on turn 4. Affinity kills on turn 4, potentially earlier. Like, and I'm just like, yeah, but their late game's so bad that if you can stall them out, like Twin I mean, it's a different story, but Twin's not even in the format anymore, so it doesn't matter, and neither is Bloom Titan. And like Infect, I don't really know too much about Infect to like officially like say, but I don't know, I really feel like that's where I'm hoping that the meta shifts to, is I want to see more Jund. I want to see more Junk. I want to see other things. Like, everyone's, like, I'm just, like, kind of tired of seeing, like, the same couple of decks. I want people to brew, like, other stuff. And that's why, like, I've been thinking so hard about this Eldrazi thing and, like, what it's done to the format. And some people are like, oh, it's really healthy because, like, it keeps the format alive. And I was like, no, it actually did the same thing that Twin did. The same thing, the reason why it's getting banned is because it does the same thing that Twin did, and Wizards doesn't want that. Wizards doesn't want every single top 8 or 7 out of the 8 top 8s in the open to be one deck. They don't want that. I don't want that. A lot of people don't want that. We don't want one deck to dominate. We want there to be variety in the format. We want the format to be healthy, and right now it's not healthy at all. That's why it needs to get banned. If Eldrazi was taking up like 2% of the meta, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever, but it's taking up a lot of the meta, and it's dominating, and it's doing really well. And there's like not a lot of things that people can do to stop it. So I don't know. It's just like, you look at like matchups and all, it's like, oh, well, like all these decks have really bad matchups against Eldrazi, and it's just like, oh, really? So, yeah, like, and another thing too about why mid-range decks are really great is because you play a really good amount of fair magic. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, it's not like you sit down and they're like, oh, this is a bad matchup. You're like playing like Junk versus Jund, and it's like, okay, cool, like, you know, who can have better, like, top decks, basically, and it's, like, really cool. Yeah, so, like, I don't know, that's, like, really what I'm hoping for, and, you know, Shadows over, and, like, it's gonna be weird because, like, this is gonna get banned, and then, Shadows over Innistrad is coming out, and I don't know, like, what's gonna, like, a lot of people are talking about Thing in the Ice, and, like, you know, what's gonna kind of happen with that, and, like, I don't really know. Like, I always think, like, a lot of people make predictions, and I always just, like, I just think it's really hard. Like, I always think it's just really hard to, like, be like, hey, what's gonna be, like, the next big thing, or whatever, but, I don't know, maybe we'll get some new brews, maybe we'll see, like, goblins. I really like goblins a lot. Like, I actually played against goblins. Let me tell you something, I think this deck is really cool. Like, one's like Reckless Bushwhacker, which is really amazing. And my opponent was playing a red-white version for like Boros Charm, and he was running like lightning bolts and like whatever. And I was like, yo, I think you should make this Naya, or I think you should take out the white and run Collected Company, because that card's so sweet. I tell this to every single Goblin player that I play against. I'm like, please run green for Collected Company, because it's so good. But yeah, like, I'm kind of hoping that, like, more tribal decks, like, I played against Slivers last night, too. Like, I was like, whoa. Like, I played against, like, Goblins round 1, and then, like, Scapeshift round 2, and then Slivers round 3. And then round 4, my friend Mike, who had Bloom Titan together, was kind of like very faithful to the deck, and then it got banned, and then he was like, oh, what do I do? So I tried to like tweak it and whatnot, and then he was like, I'm going to, he built like Archangel Spike Feeder combo, and it's like a weird version of Kiki Cord. It just runs like that infinite combo, and it was really funny. I actually had like a really good time. I'll actually tell you guys about like last night. So round 1, like I said, I played against goblins, and you know, like, squeezed a game in game 1, and I was all like, alright, cool, game 2. And then it was like game 2, I was all just like Supreme Verdicts, you know, and it just didn't do anything. And he got me down like pretty close, but something that I tweaked the deck for is I really wanted to run another Sphinx's Revelation. So it was all like, John, I was like, I know the deck is running 2 right now, but I want to be a savage and I want to run 3 because this card's incredible, because you just draw things, you gain life, it does everything. It's actually just amazing. I love Sphinx's Revelation so much. Like, that's one of the reasons why I think I'm like, maybe I just really need to play this deck. Maybe I just really need to do that. I still can run Snapcaster Mages too. It's like so good. Oh my gosh, I love this deck. It's so sweet. So, yeah, like, Okay, so I played against that round 1, and then I won against that, and then his friend, who was playing the Slivers deck that I played round 3, was all like, I really don't want to play against you, because your deck seems really scary against mine. I was all like, yeah, maybe. So, round 2, like I said, I lost Escape Shift. Okay, so, you know those hands that you keep, and you're all like, maybe I shouldn't keep this, but you have, like, Serum Visions, and you're like, listen, I'll draw lands, and it'll be fine. Okay, so, like, basically, I had like Serum Visions in my hand and like 1 land, and I think I had like another Serum Visions too. So I was like, okay, cool, like we'll get there, right? And we're playing against Escape Shift. Like I'm not on like an aggressive turn clock or whatever. Like if the matchup had been different, I would have been like, all right, cool. So I was like, okay, he's on Escape Shift, whatever. So game 1 just completely wrecked. I was like so mana screwed, and I was just like couldn't do anything. And you know the thing about the deck is weird because it runs a lot of like hate cards that like aren't really good against like some of the format. Like, if Escape Shift becomes a thing, blue-white may not be as good because you run, like, mainboard board wipes and they're just not good. They're just really not good against a deck. What are you gonna kill? Like, a Sakura Tribal? They're what? They just second in response. Like, whatever. Unless you, like, Quicken Supreme Verdict, which, yo, the deck runs Quicken now. Oh, so good. I was like, John was like, we need to run Quicken because Quicken Supreme Verdict's so good. I mean, unless you, like, sometimes you just, like, you're, like, savagely, like, you're just like, yo, I just Quicken to draw a card. Sometimes you just do that. I do that. I was playing against, like, my friend Joe who was playing Escape Shift, and I was all like, okay, cool, end of turn, I was like, Quicken. He's like, seems like good value. And I was like, yeah, draw a card for 1 mana, instant speed. Seems really okay. So, yeah, I was really upset. And then game 2, I had 2 Ruined Halos, and I'm not saying, like, oh, I have 2 Ruined Halos, I'm totally gonna win. I mean, that wasn't the instance. And that was the thing, is the deck just didn't have enough pressure at that point, and he just, like, drew all the right answers, and was like, Cryptic Command, and I was like, yeah, alright. So anyways, yeah, so that was that, and, you know, like I said, sometimes your opponent just draws all the answers. Sometimes you're bored, you're in a sweet spot, and then your opponent's just like, yeah, I just tapped, like, everything I need. Like, you're playing against Tron, and they just have natural Tron, and you're like, alright, well, that's awful. So anyways, so that was round 2, and then, so I was like 1-1, and I was like, alright, cool, we'll see what we can do. So round 3, you're playing against Slivers, and, you know, you're probably like, whoa, Tracy, you run main board wave, so you must have great aggro matchups. And I was like, yes, I will agree with you. However, when you're playing against this weird deck that not a lot of people play and you don't know what the cards do, please read cards. Please, please don't be like me and pretend like you know what magic cards do, because I do this all the time and I don't know what they do. So, like, I was all like Supreme Verdict, and he was like, regenerate all my Slivers, and I like cried a lot because I was like, oh, I can't do anything about that. So, I think he won like game 1 or something, and then I was all like, alright, cool, game 2. And then I just completely, like, Celestial Colonnade was just incredible, and that card is amazing because, like, it's so good because, like, you can, like, Supreme Verdict blow up their board and then next turn swing with Celestial Colonnade, or you can do both in like, the same turn, which is amazing. You blow up their board and you activate Celestial Colonnade. So good, oh my gosh. I've done that before, it's, like, the best thing ever. You're like, overflow of lands, I don't care, I get to do 2 cool things, so then you Sphinx's Rev for like 7. Yo, I Sphinx's Rev for like 8. It was like amazing. I was like, yeah, I'll draw 8 cards and I gain 8 life. Yeah, seems really good. Yeah. Amazing. So yeah, I won that, and then I won game 3, and then he was like, yeah, this is not really a good matchup. I was like, nah, and then I was like, no, it's really not. So, then round 4, I was playing against, this weird sort of not Kiki chord thing, like, I don't even know what you would call it. Like, it's so funny. I love Kiki chord so much, and I've been thinking about brewing it because I can actually run whatever I want. This deck is sweet. You're like, yeah, you run like basic things, you run like Eternal Witness and like Court of Calling, but then you just run any other card in existence that you want. You're all like, hey, this card seems really cool. I don't know if I'd brew it. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, nah, I don't know. But the deck is really sweet anyways. So like, he's playing it and he's all just like, yeah, Archangel, Spike Feeder. And so game 1, he won like turn 5 or whatever. And I was all like, alright, cool. And I actually didn't do anything. I didn't cast any spells. And so like, he didn't know what deck I was on. So he was all like, okay, I see blue and I see white. And I did not cast a single spell. I was like, land go. I didn't do anything. And I don't even remember what my hand was. I feel like my hand wasn't awful, but like, I honestly don't remember. So I was all like, alright, cool. I was like, you're on this combo. Okay. So he had no idea really how to side against me, which this is actually like a really weird advantage. So you may think, oh man, you lost game 2. You lost game 1, so you must be in an awful spot. Nah, bro. He had no idea how to sideboard against me. So game 2, you know what happens? So before the deck, I was all like, John, I was like, I want to add something super spicy to this deck. And we had Aetherling in our sideboard, and I was like, I want to run Aetherling in the main board. I was originally thinking about like Baneslayer Angel or something cool like that, but it dies to Supreme Verdict, which is awful. So I was like, alright, cool, let's do something else. And he's like, alright, cool. And I was like, alright, I'm gonna do Aetherling. He's like, okay, so we have to add another slot into our sideboard. And he's like, what do you want to add? And I was like, let's do another Pithing Needle. That seems like a good idea, right? Yo. This magic card, though, is insane. So I'm all like, he has no idea what my game plan is. So I'm like, turn 2, I was like, Pithing Needle. And he's like, okay, naming. And I was like, Spike Feeder. He had his combo online, but he couldn't do anything about it because he couldn't activate Spike Feeder. It was so sweet. I was like, alright, cool. So you gain infinite life. Alright, cool. Sounds good. So yeah, that was like really, really awesome. And so like, then I don't even remember how I won. I think I was just a lot of board wipes and just me like being like Celestial Colonnade and I just wrecked. And then game 3 was so fun. Like he thought that he had me and then he was like, okay, cool, I know what Tracy's on right now. She's on blue-white control. Okay, cool, now I can sideboard better. So I just you know, just wrecked, very much wrecked face. It was really cool. So, you know, it was a really, really good game of Magic. I was all just like, you know, whittling down the board and board wipes and Celestial Colonnades and Sphinx's Rev and just everything. Oh man, I love this deck. I played it and now I'm getting like 2, like now I go back to school and I don't have access to the deck and I'm gonna be like, I really wish I could be playing blue-white right now. And I don't want to be like, I'm like, oh man, I don't like Grixis control. It's not good in the meta right now and I have a feeling that after Eldrazi gets banned, it will work its way back up and be a really good deck. But the thing is that I can't run Culligan's Command in blue-white unless I do 4-color control. Tell me it's a bad idea, but I think I don't care and I want to brew 4-color control because that just seems so good. Oh my gosh. I want to do it, guys. It seems really good. John's like, you can't do that, Tracy. And I'm like, I will do whatever I want. Can't tell me to live my life. Can't stop, won't stop. I'm like, I really want to do this. It seems really fun. I don't know what I should do. Maybe I should just like, maybe I'll just chill. I don't know. I gotta see, like I said, I want to see how the meta shifts and maybe I'll build blue-white because if aggro is just still there, like, because this deck has an incredible affinity matchup, I was like, maybe this deck is still going on. I was like, you know, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think and if you agree that mid-range decks kind of make a comeback and people kind of, you know, do that. And that's like the thing is a lot of people like don't realize that control decks are mid-range decks. They really are. Because the early game you spent stalling out your opponents, you path their stuff, you Abrupt Decay, you whatever. Well, Abrupt Decay wouldn't be in a... Oh, no, yeah, it would be in a mid-range list, not in a control list, but yeah. So that's a bad example. You like path whatever. And then you get to the late game and they have nothing on board and you just, you know, like swing in with your beaters. So it's like, I don't know, like that's what I'm kind of like hoping for because I just think like those decks, in my opinion, I think are just like the best. Like I think that those are just some of the most well-rounded decks I think in the format and I'm hoping that we, you know, we like shift towards that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below and I'll talk to you guys later.